So I wanted to get on here and make a little quick video, a tour of how I keep records for my car maintenance. I have a 2010 Toyota RAV4 that has been servicing me very well, and it has 161,000 miles on it. And I found partway through its life that some of the regularly scheduled maintenance was getting off from the schedule that's in the owner's manual. Usually with a car, the owner's manual tells you how many thousands of miles need to go by before you do the next thing. So in the case of my car, I'll scroll up here to the top and you can see in this log that oil changes due every 5,000 miles, tire rotations due every 5,000 miles, and that's pretty standard. But when it gets down to how often do you do a brake system flush, or when does the transfer case flush need to happen, that was hidden in a maintenance log where they just told you at what time, at 20,000 miles you need to do this, at 25,000 miles you need to do that, at 100,000 miles you need to do this. And so I went through, the very first thing I did was go through my owner's manual and find, and in this case calculate, how frequently, based on mileage, my maintenance needed to be done. And I went down the list of everything you can possibly do to the car maintenance wise and listed the service and organized it in order of frequency. And so oil change and tire rotation, those are done every 5,000 miles. I made a category for the type of service. I made a category for how frequently it's due. These two categories don't get altered unless I need to add a new line. Last done, this is where I put the mileage. And when it's due, I put the mileage. I use mileage because as far as the car is concerned, unless you're not driving a car very frequently, like my grandmother had a car that was like 6 years old and had, 20,000 miles on it. Unless you're driving a car very infrequently, you really need to do it based on mileage. Especially the oil change. As the oil is cycled through the engine, it gets dirty. And so if you're driving, I drive half an hour to work. Somebody who only drives 10 minutes to work maybe can do the whole every 3 months thing. Mine is due a little bit sooner than that, especially if I take some trips to Greensboro or drive out, see my grandparents in Charlotte. That's going to affect things. So anyway, I listed that and then I put a place for notes. For example, for my oil change, I have a package that I purchased at the Toyota dealership and I've used up 5 of 6 oil changes. After that point, I will have to purchase another package or pay for them individually. And you'll notice that some of these lines are highlighted. So in order to, whoops, everybody slid over here. In order to highlight, there's a real quick way to do, and this is what's due next at the next service. So it goes in every 5,000 miles. I do use my dealership. You may use a mechanic, doesn't matter. If you're going several different places, that's fine too. It happens to be that I get really good service at my dealership and that it's closest and it's the most convenient and actually saves me a little bit of money. It's also the cheapest. So if I want to say the next thing that's due, like this right here, next time it'll go in at 166,000 miles. It's going to need a cooling system flush. I'm just going to highlight this line in Google Sheets and then come up here to the fill color and change it to the yellow, which it's already set to. That tells me that needs to be done then. I do my cabin air filter and my engine air filter at home, and they're going to be done over Christmas. So this one's overdue, but I'm going to be fixing that within the next few weeks here. There's some things that I never really got details for, front shocks, rear shocks. I just keep a record of when it's been done. And then my front brake pads, I just took it in and they checked it and they said that's fine. But according to the owner's manual, it's probably due. But I like to keep a close eye on my brake pads because, quite frankly, if the car won't go, that's not nearly as big of a problem as when the car won't stop. So we always want our car to stop. Put a note here. I ended up having to replace the battery when I was visiting relatives down in Georgia. So that also tells me where did I get it. So if I need to go get it serviced, I know that Walmart will service it and has the warranty on that battery. And for that, I put the date, not the mileage. So some of these things you may want to keep up by date. I do actually change the air filters every year, so that I may switch over to using dates. But I thought I'd show this to you. This way, when I go to schedule my next service, I open up this document and I look and I just go down what's highlighted, what needs to be done. Oil change, tire rotation. Next time, the cooling system will need to be flushed. I do these things myself. I will want them to check my front brake pads. I'm probably actually going to want them to check my rear brakes because I've heard some weird noises. So I'm actually going to go in here. I'm going to highlight this too, but I'm going to use a paler color just to get my attention and remind me, you might want to look at this, but it's not actually technically due, but brakes are important. So anyway, I hope this helps some of you. This really, when I switched over to this, it was much easier as far as getting the information I need when I schedule my appointments and just and keeping track of this. Your car is an important part of your life. It gets you to your job. It gets you to see people. It gets you around. It's important to take good care of it. So I hope this helps you. Have a great day.